everyone who came here tonight to celebrate the Simchat Bat of our daughters, Liat Sarah. It's really wonderful to be surrounded by our friends, family, rabbis, and teachers. For those of you who haven't been to a Simchat Bat before, a Simchat Bat is a modern custom which literally means celebration for a girl. Celebration for a girl. In Judaism, boys have a special celebration of bris. Recently, many parents have adopted the custom to have a special event for their daughters. As Adina mentioned, Liat's middle name is after my maternal grandmother, Ari Shrage. I was very lucky to spend a lot of time with her, especially after I moved to New York for college. My extended family still loves to tell stories of some of the very funny things that my grandma Sarah did. The stories still make me laugh, but my grandmother had a very kind and loving side. I remember once taking Ayala to visit her after my grandfather passed away. She was complaining to me about all the letters that she got asking for charity. I said, "What's the big deal? Just throw them out." She said that she felt bad. She said that she couldn't get a letter asking for charity and not send it a check, even if it was a small one. As I'll talk about shortly, I feel strongly that small actions can have a very powerful impact. I have no doubt that the characteristics that I see in my dad and my uncle and the importance of charity and kindness are based on the way that she acted. Tonight, I'm also making a Siyum HaShas. I'm making it in honor of Liat and Ayelet and Noam, and in honor of my parents, Barry and Ari Shrage, who paid for 14 years of Jewish learning. I'll get to you in a second. And the hell of the Shoshana Tzipora Bat Idol. I want to explain why I'm doing this tonight and how it relates to Liat. The Siyum HaShas is done at the end of learning of all the Talmud. For those of you who aren't familiar, the Talmud or Gemara is a set of books of Jewish laws which was codified around the year 500 CE. About 100 years ago in Vienna, which is where my grandfather, Henry Kranz, whom I'm named after, was living at the time, a rabbi named Rabbi Meir Shapiro proposed the idea of Jews learning the same daf or page of the Talmud in the same day. Since there are 2,711 pages, all double-sided, it takes about 7.5 years to finish, meaning that I started before Ayala was born. Thinking back, I never really thought that I would start and nonetheless finish all of Gemara. During high school, Gemara was far from my favorite topic, and I certainly don't think that I would have been voted most likely to finish Shas in my class. I viewed the Talmud as boring and not very relevant to my life. I found that most of the discussions were confusing, unorganized, and impractical. That being said, I always remembered a group of people in my hometown of Newton would study Talmud on every Shabbat afternoon, and what an impression that left on me. They didn't play basketball or sit around playing cards. A group would get together every week to study because it was important to them. When I went to Israel to study for the year, one of my teachers was open-minded enough to let me opt out of a few of my Gemara classes to independently study philosophy rather than pressuring me to study a topic that I was less interested in. When I returned to America, I rarely learned Torah until I started working in finance, when I tried to listen to classes in the car on my drive to Connecticut. Unfortunately, I found this fairly unfulfilling and did not do it very often. However, I constantly thought of what something my father likes to say, that if you care about Judaism, then serious Jewish learning is a prerequisite. I made the convenient excuse that I was too busy with my job to find the time. When Adina and I moved to Einstein, I remember seeing one of my friends in medical school who was married and had children learning Daf Yomi on his own. I always consider myself a very hard worker, I never put in as many hours as medical students, not even close. I was shocked that a medical student could find the time. I thought of all the things that, despite being busy, I found the time to complete over the years. Every episode of the first 15 seasons of The Simpsons, every Battlestar Galactica, Sopranos, too many movies to count, and just about all the works of Shakespeare. But somehow I had an excuse that I was too busy to learn. Yet there was this medical student who could find all the time. I decided to buy one volume of the Gemara and see if I could do it for myself. From there, I started keeping up with the cycle, and 2,711 pages later, here we are today. Reflecting on the experience, one of my biggest takeaways is not to judge a book by its cover, figuratively or literally. The Gemara that I'm finishing tonight is Yavama, which deals with an unfortunate situation where a married man dies childless and the biblically required responsibility of his brother. Though many books of Gemara are about laws that are no longer in practice today because they relate to the temple service, this one still can occur. Ironically, it's also the law that has no applicability to me personally. I don't have a brother, so I can never be in that situation. When I started learning, I found that the Talmud contains much more practical and relevant wisdom than I had thought. In Yevamos on Daf Samach Gimel Amud Bet, it says, Va'amar Rabba, Bo re kama tova isha tova, kama re isha ra'a, kama tova isha tova, dichtiv matzah isha matzah tov. I begiva nakra, kama tova isha tov shechtiv, mishtachet, I betorah mishareh koreh, kama tova isha tova, she'atorah nimsha ba. And Rava says, come and see how fine a good wife is, and how unpleasant a bad wife is. And a fine wife, a good wife is, for it is written, he who has found a good wife has found goodness. For if the verse refers literally to a wife, then we see that how fine a good wife is, for the scripture praises her. And even if the verse refers to the Torah, we can still infer how fine a good wife is, for the Torah is symbolized by her. I cannot think of a better dose of wisdom from our rabbis teaching and how truly relevant this is to in my life. I am blessed to have found an amazing wife who symbolizes the Torah. Over the years learning, I have found that the Talmud is filled with many practical examples that are relevant in our life today. When I realized that I was going to be finishing Gemara right around the same time that Liat was born, I spent a lot of time thinking if I should make a separate celebration for finishing Daf Yomi. Today is her day, and I didn't want to take away anything from her. However, one of the other important takeaways of my learning has been that little things that a person does or does not do can have significant consequences. A few years ago, Adina and I visited friends in Chicago, and as usual, I brought my Gemara with me because I had to learn. I didn't really think much of it. A few years later, we visited the same friends, and I noticed a Gemara from the current daf or page was sitting on a table. I naively said to my friend, "Oh, you know, that's the Gemara we're learning right now in Daf Yomi." He said, "Yes, actually, I started a few years ago after you visited us. I noticed how you were learning, and I decided to do it myself." Last year, Adina was honored at the Young Israel dinner. She talked about how parents teach kids by example. We can tell kids things, but they learn a lot more by their actions. Since my bar mitzvah, I've always put on tefillin every day. For me, it wasn't really something I thought about. I always saw my dad doing it. I know his dad, who Noam is named after, put on tefillin every day too. I couldn't understand how some kids in my school wouldn't wear tefillin on Sundays until I was older, and I realized that their fathers didn't. Ironically, a lot of those same fathers would complain that they spent a lot of money on Jewish day school and didn't understand why the school's values didn't rub off on their children. I'm beyond proud of Ayelet that she always asks me for a sitter on her days off. Ayelet is blessed with some great teachers at SAR who teach her how to daven or pray, but I also know that's because she sees Adina davening every day, that it's important to her. My dad often tells a story that in his elementary school they decided not to give him a Hebrew diploma. His teachers basically told him that he would never amount to anything important Jewishly because he didn't take his Jewish studies seriously. Can you imagine what kind of message this sends to a 14-year-old? Thank God the message was not received. Maybe seeing my grandfather wearing tefillin every day had a stronger influence. Fortunately, Rabbi Avi Weiss decided not to judge my dad by his cover. I still remember the first time I learned Gemara. My dad and I decided to take a walk on Shabbat afternoon in Riverdale, and we wandered into Hebrew Institute. I was around 9 years old. We decided to stay and learn Masechet Beitzah together. I don't believe in coincidences, so it's not lost on me the same Rabbi Weiss, who Makar of my dad, also was my first teacher of Gemara. Recently, one of my friends asked me what I'm going to do now that I'm finished with the entire cycle. For several years, I wondered the same thing. But recently, I realized the choice was pretty easy. I started the cycle again and hope to make another Siyum in 7 years. I certainly have no delusions that simply learning Gemara will influence my kids to learn on their own. I only hope that they see how important it is to me and decide to follow my footsteps. I hope they continue to have great teachers who are open-minded enough to guide them to find their own way rather than pigeonhole them. I pray that learning reminds me not to be like my dad's teachers, who told him he was not good enough for a piece of paper written on it simply because he didn't fit into a certain box at a certain time. I hope that the small positive things that we do as parents outweigh the small that I do as a parent outweighs the small mistakes that negatively influence my kids. I pray that my children see me sitting and learning in synagogue during services, realize that it's better to learn quietly than to talk. A few days ago in Masechet Ketubot, Daf Samachal Amud Beis, the Gemara discussed that a man's ability to learn is dependent on his wife's willingness to give up on time with her husband, not the other way around. I pray that Liat will see that learning was important not only to me, but important enough to Adina to give up time with me to allow me to learn. I realize that I'm blessed that Adina symbolizes the Torah, as we just learned a moment ago. I have no doubt that the men in my community learning 30 years ago didn't think that learning in there would influence me or be talked about 30 years later in White Plains. I'm also sure that Rabbi Weiss didn't think that 45 years ago a small action would be talked about today, or that my friend's learning on his own would impact me, or that my grandmother sending in small checks would influence my father and my uncle. I just pray that when Liat hears that I made a siyum at her Simchat Bat, she realizes how important serious Jewish learning is to her heritage and to her future. Masechet Yevamos ends with multiple discussions where rabbis find leniencies in order to protect women from becoming an aguna, and then concludes with a verse that I'm about to read, after which I'm going to say the last part of my 7 years plus of learning, and then say a few special things in Aramaic. I cannot think of a more appropriate way to finish my Daf Yomi learning. Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Chanina, Talmidei Chachamim Arbim Shalom Ba'olam, Shnei Amar V'kol B'nei Talmidei Hashem V'rav Shalom Banecha. Rabbi Elazar said in the name of Rabbi Chanina, Torah scholars increase peace in the world, for it is stated, and your sons will be disciples of Hashem, and abundant will be the peace of your sons. Hadron Allah, Aisha B'tach, Batra, V'saltan Allah, Masechet Yevamos of Siyum HaShas. Hadron Allah Masechet Yevamos Siyum HaShas. Hadron Allah. Datan Allah Masechet Yevamos Siyum HaShas. V'datan Allah. Lo Nedasei Menim Masechet Yevamos Siyum HaShas. Lo Nedasei Menan. Lo Mevalei Hadin V'lo Mevalei Da'atai. Yiratzom Necha Na'olenu V'lovetenu Shetei Tortecha Metenu B'lam Azevti Manu Lama Ba. Chanim Bar Papa, Rami Bar Papa, Nachman Bar Papa, Achli Bar Papa, Arba Bar Papa, Rafi Bar Papa, Rapman Bar Papa, Rafish Bar Papa, V'surt Bar Papa, Adi Bar Papa, V'dara Bar Papa. Harei Na, Adonai Eloheinu, Etu Rei Tortecha, Finu, V'suvin, Anachnu, Beit Yisrael, V'anachnu, V'niyeh, Anachnu, Nesei, Amcha, Beit Yisrael, Kolanu Yudim, Shemech V'ldei Tordecha, V'ovei Techamei, Mitzvotecha, Ki Hilam Hi. Yihi Livi Tamid Chukecha L'Olam Lo Evosh Olam Lo V'Chosh V'Udecha Ki Bach Chinateni Baruch Atanai L'Omdenu Chukecha Amen Amen Salah V'Ed Modim Anachnu Lach Adonai Eloheinu V'lo Atenu Shesamchem Chalkeinu Moshvei Beit Midrash V'lo Samchem Chalkeinu Moshvei Charniot Anu Mashkim V'Heim Mashkim Anu Mashkim V'Le Divrei Torah V'Heim Mashkim L'Dvrei V'Atim Anu Malim V'Heim Malim Anu Malim V'Maklim Sachar V'Heim Malim V'Anu Maklim Sachar Anu Ratzim V'Heim Ratzim Anu Ratzim L'Chei Olam Haba V'Heim Ratzim L'Ver Shachar Shnemar V'Ata Elim Tordatam L'Ver Shachar Anshe Damim Or Mir Ma Lo Yitzu Yimeim V'Avaniach Tachba Yirtzom V'Echa Adonai Olei Shehem Sharzim L'Simem Masechet Yevamot Siyum HaShas Kain Arzini Lam Tfilat Masechet Sfarim Achrim L'Simem L'Mosh L'Shmor L'Sol L'Kayem Ekol Divrei Talmidei Tordecha V'Avav Z'Skut Kol Ha'Tanim Amrim Talmidei Chachamim Yamod Li L'Azri Shalot Tamush Torah Fi Zarei Zarim Adolam T'Kam Bi V'Tchatam T'Atche Ota V'Shkim Tishmor Alecha V'Hakdota Ki Tishchecha Ki Bi Yirmu Yimecha V'Yisvok Shimim Chaim Orchmim Yimeim V'Smalim L'Shar Kavod Adonai Oz L'Mo Yitin Ha'Rech D'Almo V'Shalom Yikadal V'Kadash Mei Rabbah Yomad Digri Ativ D'Dav L'Achtiyad L'Eta L'Aska Yiton L'Chei Alma L'Medina Karta D'Shoim L'Shela Hiflei B'Gava L'Me'akar L'Nacha Amin Ara Tava, Halachana, Di, Shmael, Are, Yimloch Kudsha B'Yehu, V'Milchotat, V'Yikare, V'Yachon, V'Yachon, Nechai, V'Chol Beit Shal, V'Galav, Zman, Kari, V'Yimru, Amen. Yeshmei Barach, L'Olam, L'Omei Amayim, Barach V'Shabach, V'Barak, V'Ram, V'Naseh, V'Tadar, 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 Shmei Kudsha B'Yehu, V'Elamim Kol B'Yachata, L'Kol B'Yachata, V'Shiratat, V'Shukatva, Nechemata, Yamad, Yimra, V'Yimru, Amen. Al Yisrael, V'Al Rabbanan, V'Al Talmidim, V'Al Kol, Talmidei, Talmidim, V'Al Kol, Man, Das Kin, Bara, Di, Ata, Hadar, Hadin, Udi, the Kol, Atar, Atar, Yehei, Lahon, L'Chol, Shlama, Rabba, China, V'Chista, Rachmim, L'Chaim, Erechin, Mozidin, Rechi, Na, Min, Kadama, Abundi, Vishmai, V'Yimru, Amen. Yehei, Shlama, Rabba, Min, Shemaya, V'Chaim, Aleinu, V'Kol, Shalom, Amen. Aseh, Shalom, V'Ramav, Huya, Aseh, Shalom, Aleinu, V'Kol, Shalom, V'Yimru, Amen. Amen.